Hello, my name's Jim Stime and I'm the LA Fish Guy. I'd like to invite you to tag along to see how the aquarium industry works from the inside. I'd like to show you freshwater fish, saltwater fish, coral reef, as well as koi ponds. And you know, it may not always be pretty, and it may not always be paradise, but it is Los Angeles, the city of angels. Welcome to LA Fish Guys. Today's episode is about time, as in taking your time. While interest in an aquarium hobby quite often can be an impulsive one, the reality is the longer you take, the better it is. And that goes for many other things as well. I watched on Facebook recently the very descriptive story of a new aquarium saltwater hobbyist whose first attempt at keeping fish ended in tragedy. He did make valid efforts through social media as to medicinal cures, but the end result was a 90% loss of all his livestock. I had offered my comments with regards to the use of copper and at least a 30-day waiting period thereafter. I was surprised to read less than a week later of his new fish additions. I suspect it's mostly due to the amount of time I've had to play in the aquarium hobby, but I have found out that taking the time allows for a better product. That and using quality products. Today's episode involves the installation of a wet-dry trickle filter system, setting up of a capable water pumping system, a follow-up on the effectiveness of those previously installed algae scrubbers, and what's really involved in getting fish in through a tropical fish store. And they all involve taking time. North of Los Angeles, over the Hollywood Hills, is the San Fernando Valley and the city of Sherman Oaks. My name is Jim, and my friend Condi is helping me install a 150-gallon freshwater acrylic aquarium system. And as usual, there's some modifications, or some might call them adjustments, needed to be made to the aquarium stand.
Right?
They'll support the ends, yeah.
You may recall from a previous episode, the cabinet maker needed to cut out the inside of the aquarium stand so that we could fit a level platform inside there to place the wet-dry trickle filter on. The solution was a 1x12.
Shove it all the way down to the end.
This 180-gallon wet-dry trickle filter uses a pre-assembled external water pump assembly. The filter's installation is actually quite easy. It's the drain hose from the bottom of the tank to the top of the wet-dry trickle filter that requires the most thought. Your choices are a short flexible drain line, PVC hard pipe, or a longer version of the flexible drain line.
No, I've got room. The trick is just if she wants to take the lid off, making it so it's the easiest for the lid. And I also do have a elbow I can put in here, so this could, this could sit like this, which would probably be a little bit better. Maybe even the 24 right there.
Yeah, with the elbow.
Yeah, let's let them do their stuff.
Try that one with the elbow.
So if that goes in there, this could turn it around, and then, yeah, that's the better one right there. Okay.
What do you think? Oh, the elbow. Yeah.
With the filter system pre-positioned and the proper length drain line defined, I can now remove the system and allow the cabinet maker to secure and brace the platform.
It's in this bag. Oh, is that
that stuff you bought, or is that
Aside from the wall outlet, it's usually a plastic power strip that serves as the main source of power in an aquarium installation. Positioning and mounting the strip is important. First, it should be above and away from where water can reach. Second is how it's attached. Trying to figure out the distance between the slip holes on the back side of the plastic power strip has always been a mystery to me. Getting the screw heads at the proper distance has been a bigger Alfred Hitchcock. What I do is not proper, but it's far, far easier and much more secure. I'll pre-drill through the back side of the power strip's slip holes and then flip it around and screw the power strip directly onto the cabinet wall. It won't fall and it won't move from here.
not the way you're supposed to do it, but it mounts it a whole lot more securely than trying to figure out where those holes are supposed to be at. Get some screw head to fit in there. All right, let's see here.
And as long as you don't round out the screw heads, it makes for a much more secure attachment of the power strips.
Secured in. And the light comes on, no sparks. I think I'm okay.
Just north of the Palos Verdes Peninsula and up the coast a bit is Hermosa Beach. Age of Aquariums is on their second day installing their 20-foot-long, 1,200-gallon aquarium system. Sean is working on the water pump intakes, and Jason, who has been influenced by the purple PVC cement, is working on the gravity flow return lines.
What you making though, Jason?
Just an extension off the elbows coming through the wall, and then cap it so we can get it supported up on the strap.
What Jason is referring to are the return lines coming from the filter sump that is located above the tank and in a room behind the aquarium. So the pumps and valves that Sean are working on draw from...
Well, those valves are so we can adjust the overflow boxes, just to make sure that we get enough suction for the pump, because we do have to pump the water up to the sump, and the sump actually gravity feeds back to the tank, and that's so we can adjust the intake on each overflow box so we get good service. Up there, that's the gravity fed from the sump that's coming down as a return on the 3 that are on the bottom, or 4. And then the closed loop return is up on the top. That's why it's kind of at an angle.
Store owner and master of this installation is Dan Gilboa. He's hands-on and involved in making all the big decisions, like where and how everything goes. With limited space, Dan needs to finalize the location of the 2 main water pumps.
So tell us what you're doing down here with the pumps.
I'm just trying to determine what the best configuration of the pump angle is going to be in order to minimize the run of pipe and make it look as neat and tidy as possible.
What's the volume on those pumps?
We have 2 pumps. One is going to pump approximately 2,000 gallons on the open system, and the closed system pump will pump approximately 4,000 gallons an hour. That'll give us a total turnover of 6,000 gallons an hour in a 12,000 gallon tank, so that'll give us roughly about 5 times turnover.
Way up in the western edge of the LA metropolis is Westlake Village. I'm en route to my jellyfish tank service. You may recall the 100% water change we did previously to control nutrients. You've seen me promote the concept of algae scrubbing. I've used 2 different commercial units, actually 3 different commercial units, as well as a homemade unit.
I want to follow up on those units today and show you the progress that we've made with those algae scrubbers. So you might recall previously I said the easy way to eliminate the nutrient issue in the jellyfish tank was to drain 100% of the water and refill it with 100% brand new. Granted, that is quick, but it could be a little stressful on the jellyfish. As an alternative, we've decided to try the Hog Algae Scrubber on the filter itself. The filter system for the jellyfish tank is in this same room as the equipment for the pond as well as the outdoor misters. I have a wet-dry trickle filter over here, and that's where I've installed the Hog filter. The Hog stands for Hang On Glass. This is a filter that clamps between the inside and the outside of the filter system itself, so it's quite easily installed in the end of the wet-dry trickle filter. It uses an air pump to create a movement of water through the unit. The exterior half has these little red LED lights inside of it, and the interior half has what I believe he calls the green grabber, which is a very texturous media. Now, we only installed this about 2 weeks ago, so it's not grown a tremendous amount of algae yet. You can see the beginnings of it, and of course our other challenge is the fact that the water in the tank is down at 65 degrees, so that algae is going to grow quite slowly. And the whole concept behind an algae scrubber is to utilize algae that you're growing to compete for the same nutrients that, say, the problematic algae in the tank, or just simply the nutrients that cause issues, in this case with invertebrates such as the jellyfish. And what I'm trying to do with the algae scrubber is to eliminate the nutrients in the water. I really don't have an algae problem, at least not at the moment, but I do have an elevated nutrient issue. And so what I'm going to try to do is utilize the Hog to consume those nutrients in the water, thus alleviating whatever it might be that's bothering the jellyfish, and hopefully allow them to begin to grow in size as opposed to reduce in size. And in addition to the actual algae scrubber, it's driven by just a small air pump that creates a movement of water or air bubbles through the unit, and that's what exposes as much of the water inside the scrubber to the algae as possible. And in addition, the two little LED lights on the algae scrubber are controlled by a timer, as we don't want to allow those lights to run 24/7. That would be too much. It would probably burn or discourage the growth of algae. Now, the algae scrubber may not necessarily be the fastest approach to resolving nutrients in the system, but it'll probably be a lot less stressful than the 100% water change and trying to acclimate those jellies back to the system. Also, in the long run, it may just end up being a little bit more cost-effective.
Soaring out across the LA basin and up to Glendale is Tropical Imports on Colorado Street. Dean Inman arrived early this morning to receive and acclimate fish to his large inventory of freshwater fish choices. Dean is now finishing up and dealing with those that took a little extra time.
All right, we gotta grab a towel, and then we got one more bag of cichlids. All right, we got it. Let's see, one more. We'll use this bucket, and we're gonna go, I think they're that way. We'll go down here, a few more. Yeah, here they are. All right, let's see what we got here.
While Dean does offer saltwater fish and corals, his freshwater sales are the entry point for most new aquarium hobbyists.
Oh, these guys look pretty nice. Let's see what we got here.
This bag is full of what's typically called assorted African cichlids.
All right, look at all those guys. We put a few things in here to distract the fish, to keep them from fighting with each other. They've got these natural tea leaves that they're not tea leaves. I can't remember exactly what they are, but they put them in there. It's a natural stress reducer. And they put a little bit of carbon in there to take out any impurities in the water. And there's all those new guys there. Let me get a smaller net. All right. Yeah, this is our assorted batch of cichlids. Very nice. see what we got here. Okay, that's it. I'll be right back. Give them a little stress coat there. Dump this.
Because of their varied color, African cichlids at one time were the crossover fish
All right.
to a saltwater aquarium.
All right, we'll give these guys a little bit of stress coat here. About a couple teaspoons. All right, we're looking good. Okay, we're gonna transfer sides and we'll work on the community fish that came in. We got quite a few. The freshwater fish come in a lot larger quantities. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and take them out of these bags, put them in the aquarium, and then we'll split them up a little bit later after they've relaxed a little bit. These guys, there's quite a few of those guys in here, so we're going to pour them into the net.
These fancy-tailed guppies are a big favorite for many aquarium hobbyists. Their colorfully large tails and the fact that they breed quickly
Okay, guys.
are popular
We got quite a few of these guys.
where other fish species are limited.
Ooh. Yeah, everybody's looking really good there. Pieces of rubber band I'm going to get out of there from the bags. Go ahead and put a little stress coat in here for these guys. I'm going to turn off the water in here for a little bit. We'll turn it back on in a little bit. All right, and we'll move to the next tank. Ooh, I got those nice big rainbow sharks. Oh. There's not as many of these. Looks like there may be about 30 of them. All right, put those guys in there. These guys are really nice. Nice and large. Okay. I believe one more. That's it. Last one. All right. Give these guys a little stress coat. All right. Now we'll move to the next tank. Congo tetras. Not as many of those guys, just a few. All right, we're gonna pour these guys. We got a lot of water in there. Get my label out of there.
Most freshwater fish these days come from slightly hard water systems. In general,
Okay,
a 30-minute temperature acclimation
there we go. Hey, there's a baby in there.
is sufficient before adding the fish to the tank.
Put a little stress coat in there. All right, we're looking good. Okay, let's see what else I have here. Looks like I got one more down on the end. Here, I got some dwarf grammies, which are really nice. We got some nice little eels under here, some reed fish and some South American dragonfish, which are pretty cool, but they're a little shy, but we like to have places for them to hide. Okay, we'll put your little hidey hole back down in here. All right, so we'll get these guys out now. All right. Wow, those guys are really nice, little dwarf grammies.
While freshwater fish may not be as exciting to a saltwater hobbyist, they still offer a variety of shapes, sizes, and brilliant colors, as well as intricacies to the freshwater hobbyist.
I hear my phone ringing this morning. I laugh and joke that I call us the all-night fish store. We'll get phone calls at all hours. Sometimes I'm here alone working late and phone will ring, and I like to answer them, but if I answer every phone call, I'll never get my work done. All right, a little bit of stress coat in there for everybody. And we're good to go. All right.
Are you still tumbling biopellets? Tired of constantly replacing your GFO? Or trying to grow algae in your refugium? And you still have algae problems? Get real. Real filtration, that is. Algae Scrubbers from Santa Monica Filtration will turn this into this by growing this weekly. 2 styles of scrubbers, the Hog and the Surf. Both are extremely easily installed and noticeably effective. You want results? Algae Scrubbers are the answer. Visit santa-monica.cc. Next time you're near Long Beach, California, take the time to stop in at Age of Aquariums, 2642 Cherry Avenue, just off the 405 freeway near Signal Hill. Age of Aquariums carries a full line of dry goods, supplements, and exotic equipment. Age of Aquariums also carries a wide assortment of living corals, coral frags, as well as fresh and saltwater fish, ranging from the usual, the unusual, and the bizarre. Age of Aquariums is located at 2642 Cherry Avenue, Long Beach, California, near Signal Hill. Open 7 days a week. Call 562-438-6252 or visit ageofaquariums.biz.
Hi, I'm Mark from Mark's Tropical Fish here in Studio City, California. Here at Mark's Tropical Fish, we specialize in all aspects of the hobby. Whether you have a coral reef, a saltwater aquarium, freshwater aquarium, or a koi pond, we can help you in all those areas, including servicing for home and office. Here we are in front of my location at 12063 Ventura Place in Studio City, right near the intersection of Ventura Boulevard and Laurel Canyon. We're located right off the 101 freeway at the Laurel Canyon exit, in close accessibility to all the cities in the valley and the LA Basin. We're open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. till 7, Saturday 11 a.m. till 6, and Sunday 11 a.m. till 5. We also have rear parking in case the metered parking is taken up on the street. Hope to see you soon.
Over in the 818, specifically the Sherman Oaks area, I'm installing a 150-gallon freshwater aquarium. Previously, I had complained about the cabinet maker's frame not covering enough of the top or the bottom of the tank. The cabinet maker is now positioning that hinged frame.
Yeah, it's just barely, hang on, I'm on it. It's not clear. It's not like come towards us somewhere.
You mean this?
Yeah.
It looks a bit short on the top, but overall, it still looks good. This custom aquarium cabinet is actually part of a larger wall unit, and it's now time to place the upper portion of the cabinet in position. As the cabinet guy's securing the upper portion of the cabinet, I'm going to start working on my version of the LED lighting's electrical supply. And Plumber's Crack Condi is getting the aquarium gravel rinsed and ready to go, as we are to the point of now placing the filter system into the cabinet, attaching the pump, return, and drain lines. But wait!
Do you have a microwave here?
Moving down the sun-drenched LA coastline and looking back from the pier in Hermosa Beach, we catch up with Age of Aquariums out of Long Beach. Owner Dan Gilboa is installing a 1,200-gallon aquarium with a unique filter system. The filter is above the tank and its return flows down into the aquarium. One of the issues with gravity flow systems is siphons. Jason is working on a vent to help break that siphon.
Go ahead and explain what that does.
It allows it to, well, helps us so you don't get as many air bubbles or get a siphon or the gurgling sound when you're doing it's just a sight overflow.
Helps the pipe breathe?
Yeah, for gravity.
The problem with a siphon is that you don't want one. A siphon will start and stop. And to help break the siphon, Jason has installed vents that will allow for a more consistent flow of water through the plumbing. Owner Dan Gilboa has positioned both filter and internal circulation pumps next to each other below the aquarium. This does require some thoughtful thinking in regards to the plumbing for both, space being the first consideration and future access being a close second. You may recall from the previous episode the exposed suction or intake strainers on the bottom of the aquarium. Martine, the coral sculpture maker, has made some decorative blinds. These small sculptures with air bladder soft corals will be placed in front of the strainers to hide them. The air bladders inside the artificial corals will cause the corals to rise up towards the surface of the aquarium. With a strong water current inside the tank, those corals could sway back and forth. That's one clever way of hiding the plumbing inside the tank. Way out at the far end of LA's San Fernando Valley is the city of Woodland Hills. I'm following up on a couple more algae scrubbers.
Our second stop today is a house that we installed 2 different algae scrubbers a little more than a year ago. One of them is the Hog Algae Scrubber, which is an air-operated unit. The second is the L2 from Turbos Aquatics. It's a pump-driven algae scrubber. Both work on a similar process where they move water past the screen. The screen in turn grows algae on it, and that algae consumes the nutrients in the system. The small 60-gallon cube reef is doing extremely well. I'm very, very pleased with it. You'll be impressed as well. The L2 algae scrubber is doing a good job, but I did a switcheroo on it about 6 months ago where I changed out the aquarium, the gravel, but unfortunately I allowed the customer to persuade me into putting the old live rock back into the tank, and that has become a source of nutrients in itself, which in turn is creating a big algae problem in the tank. I'll show you.
And you can see here at first glance that there's already a significant improvement, not only in the clarity and the lack of algae, but in how well the corals are doing. You may recall this is the unit that we installed the Hog Algae filter and pulled out that protein skimmer. So this unit has been running for over the last year with no protein skimmer at all, just that simple sump, and of course there's the Hog Algae Scrubber. The other tank that we originally installed, the L2 algae scrubber, has been completely overhauled since it was originally installed. New tank, completely redone filter system, and I've added bioballs back into the system. Here's our L2 algae scrubber. The one mistake that I made, as I mentioned earlier, was allowing the customer to persuade me into putting the old live rock back into the tank. And you can see that it's just done nothing more than encourage or sprout an entire algae problem within the tank. And again, that algae is growing based on the nutrients that are essentially emanating from all that live rock. And so the task that the L2 algae scrubber has is it's got to resolve the nutrient issue in the tank first before you'll begin to see any decrease in the algae in the tank. But this scrubber is really doing its job. And as I clean it here in a moment, I'll show you how well it's doing. At the same time, we're also acclimating a new fish into the tank, and that's a blueface angel. So let me show you how much algae the L2 algae scrubber is actually growing.
And let me point out that these tanks and both these algae scrubbers are serviced on a weekly basis. So what you're about to see is algae growth that occurred in the last 7 days.
That is weekly algae growth on the L2 unit.
And this is the weekly maintenance.
So you can see now that it's cleaned off just how much algae was on there. And that algae is consuming nutrients out of the system, which will eventually starve that algae of whatever it's feeding on. And in turn, the algae itself will die off.
And on the other tank, this is the weekly growth of algae as well as maintenance on the hog algae scrubber.
And you can see here the screen with the algae that's growing on it. And it's that algae that's consuming the nutrients in this aquarium. And this algae cleans off fairly quickly and easily. Right off the screen.
Both of these algae scrubbers will continue to produce growths of algae like this until they consume all the available nutrients in the system. And here's something to think about. Unlike biopellets and GFO, an algae scrubber does not require you to replace the media. It grows it itself at no cost, over and over and over and over and over.
And that's all the maintenance there is to the hog algae scrubber. Easily installed, easily maintained, inexpensive to set up, and effective.
I too was skeptical in the beginning, but with obvious results like this. And keep in mind, this 60-gallon reef tank is over 14 years old. This is what reef tanks should always look like. Now if I can just get this blueface angel to eat. Over at the far east end of the 818 is Dean Inman's Tropical Imports in Glendale. He's now cleaning up and putting away the boxes, buckets, bags, or is he?
All right, we got the water all taken care of, and I believe I got all the fish taken care of. I have to get down and look to make sure that the bags are all out of the tanks. And I look, I make sure we got everything. Oh my God, look at those guppies. They're doing really good. Oh, I forgot my rummy nose. All right, we got to get the rummy nose out of there. They're a little more sensitive. They're tank raised, but they're pH sensitive. They don't do as well as some of the other fish unless you acclimate them. So all these other fish, again, the water's been changed, the pH has come up on them, but certain fish, there are different tetras that just, they need a little extra TLC. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and open those up. I'm gonna get another bucket and we're gonna drip acclimate them. So let me get some of the tools to do that. Very simple, just a little airline hose with a rock. You'll see it's a piece of cake. Everybody should drip acclimate their sensitive fish. It's just the easiest way to go. Make the transition nice and smooth. All right, let me grab a bucket, get rid of some of this trash. All right, as I said, we got some nice anacris here. These are pretty easy to deal with. They're all bagged up and got their little anchors on them to hold them in the bottom, and we'll just place them right in the aquarium. Oh, we got a couple goldfish here. Hey guys, get out of the way. All right. Perfect. There's a few there. We sell a lot of anacris, so here's my invoice. Nobody wants to pay for things, but that's reality. Lots of money. All right. Let's see here. We got lots of anacris here. All right. Put a few up here. Oh, sorry, Mr. Arowana. Just putting a few plants in here. Don't get too excited. All right, well, at least get those in the water and then we'll straighten them up a little bit later. We like to get here a little early before the customers come in and get everything situated. Got some nice big swords here. These look like ocelot swords, green ocelot. Very nice. All right. We got those. Oh, we got some vacancies over here. We'll get these guys in right over here. I'm gonna set those right there. Put those in right over here. All right, let me get this out of the way here. Got a nice sword upside down. We'll reach in here. Got a nice big Java fern pot. Put that guy in. This one is upside down. All right, they have these nice swords here. These will look real nice. Got some new swords. If I only had a longer arm, it'd make life easier. Yeah, those look nice. I don't know if you can see them, but we got a nice rare blue-eye Plecostomus, really large. We got him from one of our service accounts. We'd really like to find him a nice home, but he needs a nice blue tank. He is just a beautiful, beautiful guy here. See him right there? He's just beautiful. A little camera shy, but we're working on that. He's just, man, we really need to find him a nice home. Maybe the Long Beach Aquarium. Maybe they would happen to like a new resident. Oh, this guy is just beautiful. Okay, okay. All right, we won't harass him too much there. Beautiful. All right, looks like we got a few more plants. Oh, well, we're gonna put those guys right up there. I'm gonna grab a ladder, Jim, because I gotta get up to those top tanks. I'll be right back.
Do you have an aquarium question? Are you looking for aquatic answers? Just key in wetwebmedia.com. Wet Media has information on freshwater, marine, brackish, and planted aquariums. Wet Media is staffed by the capable Wet Media crew. Check today's facts, ask questions, or search keywords. That's wetwebmedia.com.
Hi there, my name's Jim Stime and you know me as the LA Fish Guy. Well, I also wear a couple of other hats. One of them is the jellyfish tank called the Jelly Aquarium, and the third is myfishtank.com. I offer an entire line of acrylic aquariums ranging from rectangular to hexagon, flatback hex, as well as the custom curve front aquariums. There's also an entire line of stands and canopies ranging from MDF to pine to oak with a variety of different finishes available. And the website is even smart enough that you can calculate what the freight and crate charges to your location will be. That's myfishtank.com.
Hi, my name's Dean from Tropical Imports here in Glendale, California. We have all different types of tropical fish, freshwater and saltwater. We have reptiles, freshwater plants, goldfish, saltwater invertebrates. We've got all different types of little aquariums here for betas, for tropical fish, mini, nano reef, for plants, saltwater fish. I've got all different types of bowls. Whatever you like, we've got it.
Reef Hobbyist magazine believes that our hobby, our fellow hobbyists,
and the animals in our care are best served by the free distribution of quality information. Reef Hobbyist magazine provides hobbyists with critical husbandry information with an emphasis on marine ornamental breeding efforts. Reef Hobbyist magazine is available for free in local fish stores across the country, or you can subscribe at www.reefhobbyistmagazine.com. Back out in Sherman Oaks, just off Ventura Boulevard, Condi and I are installing a wet-dry trickle filter on a custom acrylic aquarium.
There. And you think that's long enough flex hose, or you want to use the longer one and tuck the balance behind?
No, that's fine right there.
Okay. I mean, I can always push this way down so it won't be.
There's not a lot of pressure within
And
it.
if you're servicing it, you can glue it down the road if it's an issue.
Yeah, just silicone it or whatever.
And once this installation is complete, I will hand it over to Condi for regular aquarium service. Since this tank's overflow has only a Durzo standpipe inside of it, the only place left for mechanical filtration will be a filter pad placed across the top of the wet-dry trickle filter's drip plate. It's because of the pad's location that easy access to the filter, its lid, and the drain line are important.
Tighten that.
I'm going to use a plastic snap clamp to secure the flexible drain hose to the bulkhead on the underside of the tank. With that squeezed tight, I can now start on the pump's return side. This is an external pump with a union ball valve on both sides of the pump. I do need to Teflon tape the threads of the pump to attach the return assembly, as well as the inlet sides of the water pump. Once tightened, it's as easy as threading the large collar on the union ball valve.
So that slipped up there real nice and neat then, yeah?
And Condi will connect the flexible tubing to the barbed fitting on the underside of the tank.
Cut it.
The balance of that return line is now inside the tank's internal overflow.
Just in case.
Lastly, I can cut the end of the hose to attach to the water pump's return assembly. It's at this point where the microwave comes in.
Alright. Donkey donkey.
A coffee cup of boiling water takes only 2 minutes to boil in a microwave. If I stick the end of the hose into the hot water, it makes the tubing soft and not only slips onto the barb fitting much easier, but as it cools, it contracts around the barbs and forms a much better grip.
All the way up there, so when Condi has to take it apart.
Nice. I love you so much.
What happened to the other channel lock?
I'll also use another plastic snap clamp, as this is the pressure side of the water pump.
Our drain line, our return line are in place. The return inside the overflow is in place.
The water pump is positioned, both its inlet and outlet threads are fitted, the discharge line is connected, as well as the flexible drain line. Looks like we can start on the LED lighting. But first,
here at the end.
you know those tubes that the LED light strips are packaged in? It's time for a little fun.
But you got blue and white or just
I could be one of those Australian guys, or do they spin it around?
I don't know what they do.
Surfing back down to Hermosa Beach, Dan at Age of Aquariums is gluing in the 2 main water pumps. Maybe it's the camera lights or the smell of the PVC cement, but he needs to pay attention or he'll forget something twice.
Yeah, for as secure as those fittings get with all that primer and such on there, I'm sorry, I'm a clear PVC cement kind of guy.
You don't like the mess of gray, huh?
Gray, purple, and blue, and
A lot of colors, huh? Well, that's why people use gray pipe.
yeah, well, there you got a point.
Yeah. So you can get gray schedule 40 to make it look pretty. I'm about functionality. How many times have you done this and forgotten about it?
More than once, more than I'm willing to admit to. It's like then you try to pull the fitting back off and...
Yeah, you can't do that too easily, right?
No.
Doesn't happen that way.
The glue seems to set up fast when you don't want it to set up fast and slow when you need it to set up fast.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Where is it?
Almost forgot it a second time.
Okay then, so we better stop distracting Dan.
How you coming along, Jason?
Getting there. It's gonna be a little tight.
Jason is finalizing the gravity flow filter return lines, and the coral sculpt manufacturer is strategically positioning small coral sculptures with floating sea fans to hide the intake strainers. Dan now has the inlet portion of the water pumps completed. He now has to connect the discharge side, and that involves trimming and connecting the pipes that are already cemented into the wall. Dan will use a large hand pipe cutter. Let's hope that he's cutting the correct pipe. Just to make sure, Dan has Jason double check.
So we're just wrapping it up for the evening. We're just about done with all the gluing of the pipes for the underneath the aquarium here and the area that impacts the office. Our issue is that Monday morning everybody comes into work and we really can't be gluing anymore in this area here. We're gonna drive them out with the fumes from the glue. So as much as we wanted to finish today and take tomorrow off, it looks like we have a couple more hours tomorrow on Sunday to just button things up, but it shouldn't be too bad a day on Sunday, and we should be done with that, and then the rest of the project will just be to work in the filtration room, which is isolated from the rest of the office.
Cruising way out to Thousand Oaks and homes with palm tree lined long driveways. Let's follow up on my homemade algae filter.
And you can kind of see here we've had must have been a low water level situation last night. But as we glance into the tank, you can see we've replaced some of the corals, but we've also tamed, not all, but most of the algae. There's a handful of spots here and there, and it tends to vary from service to service as to how much. So the homemade algae filter is doing its job, but not as effective as, say, the hog or the L2 unit. There is a rust-colored algae that I'm told becomes very obvious in the evenings. This being the morning, it's just a light coating of brown, but I'm told again that there's quite an obvious growth of red or maroon colored algae in the tank, which typically would be an indication of cyanobacteria. I have treated this tank with Maricin in the past, and I think 3 different medications or elixirs or supplements, whatever you want to call them, for red slime, but was not able to eliminate this at all. So I've kind of given up on treating it and just allow it to grow in there. I haven't been told that it's overwhelmingly unattractive yet. And of course, you might remember the homemade algae filter, which is actually working relatively well. That's the security light that sits on top of it.
This particular tank and some of its specific issues have been featured here previously. Episode 86 is when and how I installed this algae filter.
That's the lid that sits on top of it that supports the light. It's a dual spray bar, or a T spray bar, I guess you might call it. And it's got a screen that hangs between the two. And that's the algae that's growing on there. Now that's 2 weeks worth of growth, which may not be as much as the hog or the L2, which may also reflect as to why this tank's taking so much longer to eliminate its algae problem. But based on the cost, based on the application, and based on how the customer feels, I think we're moving at an okay pace.
As mentioned, the T spray bar is made from PVC pipe and fittings.
We'll go outside and rinse this off now.
Each service, which is every 2 weeks, this screen is scraped of all of its algae and then rinsed off and replaced back into the algae filter.
So with the screen scraped free of its algae, you can see again it's a dual spray bar with a screen that's draped between the two, and then the water simply flows across it. It's illuminated by this security light here. And I'm sure if the light was a little bit stronger, or maybe the spectrum was a little bit more appropriate for growing algae, I might be able to grow those algae faster. But as it is, I'm only here every 2 weeks, and so far this is working out fairly well. As a matter of fact, I would say that all of the algae scrubbers that I've implemented so far have had a noticeable effect on decreasing algae within the tanks. And that's the update on the algae scrubbers.
All right, back over in Glendale at Tropical Imports, Dean is now ready to start acclimating those rummy-nosed tetras to his system.
Okay, time to get these rummy nose out of here. Go ahead and set up a bucket just for them. Kind of primitive, but it works. Just a simple tube with a rock on it. I'll put it in the tank, and then what we'll do is we'll siphon water out of here and get these guys dripping in here. I have a lot of these segments because we have fish in higher levels of the upper aquariums that need to be siphoned out here. So we'll just start a siphon here. Let's see here. Hey, might have a kink here in the hose somewhere. Oh, here we go, here we go. Alright. Let's get this guy's going. So this is running pretty good. I'll just tie it in a simple little knot to slow down the flow a little bit. Put that in there. We get a little drip going. And then I will put my stress coat, if I can remember where I put it. It's kind of like scrubber pads for an aquarium. We'll be cleaning it, I don't know where I put them all. And then before you know it, I got 20 scrubber pads out here. Maybe I put it up front. Oh, I put it up front. All right. Again, we do really well with these rummy nose. All right. Let me grab a net and some stuff. I think I left it over here. Ah, yes. Got my stress coat, my net. Put a little bit in the bucket here. All right.
will now begin to empty the bag of fish into the empty bucket. Once he has most of the bag water and the fish into the bucket, he'll then use a net to collect the rest of the fish in the bag.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll acclimate these guys probably for a good 45 minutes to an hour, maybe even longer. I'm in no hurry. I'm here till 9 o'clock tonight, so the slower the better. Just slow that down a little bit more. Got it. So we're good to go. We got everybody out. A little quicker than I thought, but again, I never know. Order 30 bags of fish and I got about half. So my morning is cut a little bit short, but that's okay. We got other things to do. Perfect. All right. All right, let me get my mop. Whew. That's it. Oh, all the trash, out we go.
All right, it's about time. Time spent acclimating fish. Time spent fitting a filter into a custom aquarium cabinet. Time spent growing algae to solve algae problems. And certainly, time spent building a 1,200-gallon aquarium. Do you see a trend here? Well, even if you can't resist taking a bit of time, whether you're successful or not, always keep moving forward.